Thank you so much for doing this with us. And I have to say, I do come at it from a little bit of a personal perspective, too. I have an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old. So when I saw the four of you all coming together, I knew that all of you all had young children, and I know yours are a little bit younger. But I think that's kind of an underrepresented demographic in the Senate.
Do you all have any particular, I know I don't want to ask you to talk about your kids in specific ways, but any general ways that you all...
So talk about your bill. Why is this the right solution at this time?
We simply say kids 12 and under shouldn't be on a social media platform at all. That's a policy call. It's within the purview of the Congress, and I think most people agree with us, and I think public health experts will agree with us. This bill has three principles. 12 and under, you're off. 13 through 17, you need your parents' permission. And 13 through 17, no algorithmic boosting. And I think people appreciate the simplicity. If a parent can't understand the bill, it's hard for them to rally behind it.
Normally you see a bill come out of DC that is sometimes thousands of pages long. This one's 8. We wanted it to be simple, we wanted it to be bold, and we wanted it to be common sense. We wanted to put parents back in the driver's seat and give our children an opportunity to learn and explore as parents deem was appropriate.
Did you all come together because you're all parents, or how did you find each other, I guess?
I think the answer is yes.
Absolutely, and we're hearing from parents. I mean, my walking group, I walk with my friends at 5:15 in the morning before I head off to here, and they sent me actually an article from you all talking about this and saying, thank you, this is what we need. We all know that there will be pushback because we are putting the well-being of children over the profits of big tech, but we also know that that's worth fighting for, and so we're, game on.
I have a 14 and 11-year-old, and I've seen the upside and the downside of social media. During the pandemic, it was an important tool for my kids to connect with friends. Sometimes the silly and entertaining content that they get on those sites brings joy to their life. But I've also seen the tremendous downside. I've seen how some of their friends who are in trouble get very quickly spun into deep, dark corners of the internet with content promoting self-harm or celebrating eating disorders, encouraging kids to be ashamed of their body image. And so for me, this is simple. Some of these kids aren't ready for social media.
And I've heard from so many Arkansans and friends of mine whose kids are now getting into their teenage years, who feel frustration, that they have the right and the responsibility to raise their kids at home and in school and when they're out in the town, yet they don't feel like they have the same empowerment online. So it's a frustration I've heard more and more in recent years. And just in the last week since we introduced our legislation, I've had so many people reach out to me and say, thank you for proposing a solution, for helping me get back my responsibility, my rights as a parent in the digital world that I have in the real world.
And what is your sense, on that pushback from the tech industry?
I get it. The technology industry is going to find all sorts of innovative ways to try to squash this bill because, this is their profit center, our kids, and promoting really dangerous content often to our kids. But the end result, if we pass this, is frankly going to be less information collected on my kids than if we hadn't passed it.
They right now are using their trade associations and intermediaries to try to kill this legislation. I think they know that it would backfire if the company itself came out in opposition. But listen, we're willing to have a conversation, but they're not at the table here. Who's at the table are elected representatives of the people, parents, and kids.
Thank you all so much for talking about this. I think it's really, really fascinating, not just to me, but to all Americans who are really trying to struggle through all of this.